Hey there, Coffee Talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction Renovation magazine. Oh, I've got a little halo here. This is what it used to look like. We're digital now. I'm breaking out some of the archives here. July of 2020 had a tattoo remover on the cover. Jessica Fumo. She's known her on. I think she's with Sephora now. But this was a 140-page issue, looking good. And where was I? Oh, I was out in Phoenix watching DU play Arizona State before they got their arena. And I think Arizona State, they're ranked number 13. We're number 5, I think, in the country. But anyway, I was out there in December, and the Pios are in town, so I'm a good alum and went out. But it's always good to hold the magazine to see what was going on. And but our last issue we printed was August of 2021 when we had White Castle restaurants on the cover, and went digital. Haven't looked back since. Don't miss the printer. Don't miss the post office, and it's been an amazing ride. We had just under 49 million people hit the website consuming content last year, and last month for the month of February, and it was a short month. Normally I'm 2 or 3 days. I didn't get in there. We were at 6.9, just under 6.9 million for the month. So if I did 6 to 7 million a month, I'm talking, well, do the math, 12 times, 7. I mean, it's 84 million people. It's just crazy. It's mind blowing, but thank you to everybody out there that finds us on the web, probably Googling, because that's where most people find us. But thanks for reading the content, visiting the site, all unique users that come back more than once. We really appreciate it. You're all gold in my book as we've made our transformation from print face to face to the digital world where 8 billion people live on the planet and are out there surfing, going wild. It's the first week of March, the third month of Q1. Unbelievable. I can't believe it's March. The trees are blooming. I'm in here in Atlanta. It's sunny. There's not a cloud in the sky. When I'm done with this, I'm going to go for my 5 mile trek. And then, actually, I'm staying downtown. I got a media day for a waterproofing company that's a pretty big building products company nationally. And told the PR firm, I said, hey, I can't make dinner, but if you get me a hotel room, I appreciate it because I'm coming from down north and rush hour is just brutal for me to get down there at 8 o'clock. She goes, oh, no problem. So I'm going to head down there about 11, check in and get up early and go to breakfast with the guys. So, but hope everybody's having a great week. Listen, it's the last month, like I said, of the first of Q1. Got to go strong with the momentum, really kick tail, and then get ready to, get through the spring and then the summer, dog days of summer. And before you know it, it's going to be the holidays again. That's how fast I mean, time is just flying by. It was just January 1st. Where did it all go? So, in any event, I've got a nice gentleman that's going to finish off my day. His name is Neall Digert, and he's with Kingspan Light N.A, and he's the vice president of innovations and business development. Did I get that right, Neil?
You're really good. Yes, that's great.
Yes.
So new market development, but yes, you've got it, sir.
Okay, there you go. New market development. So anyway, Neil's in SoCal down in San Diego, where the 5 is. Neil, say hello to our listeners out there in Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Great to see you all today. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for inviting me. It's actually nice
Yeah,
to be here.
absolutely. What's the weather like out there, in
I have to say
SoCal?
today is a
Beautiful?
beautiful day. It's chilly for us though. It's like 55 degrees.
Yeah, that's
So
that.
we're full on winter wear.
Hmm.
You know.
Hey, I've had uh, I've had great times in San Diego. I got a couple of good friends I grew up with. San Diego's an awesome little town, because
It
after
is.
usually the fog will be in there like LA in the morning and it
You're
burns
exactly
off.
right. Yeah.
And
June
then
blue, May gray.
beautiful, the water's a little chill in the ocean. That's just the Pacific Ocean. That's just the way
It
it
is.
is. But
It is.
the Gaslamp List District and good restaurants and just all in all, a fun town. I have fond memories over my 25 year career of San Diego. So. Um,
Well, David, I agree with you. I have to say there is nothing that can happen during a day that going and sitting on the beach at sunset, watching the dolphins playing in the surf with the surfers, that just can't be undone. I mean, that is just such a magical way to end the day.
Are
So,
you are
I'm
you a
happy.
local SoCal or are you transplant?
Transplant. So, I've been here in actually we're in North County, San Diego. So I live in the little beach town of Carlsbad. Our office complex is in Vista, also kind of adjacent to the beach. But yeah, I've been here for 25 years.
Yeah.
So home.
Hey,
Born in
listen, I
Colorado
started my
before
co
that. So traded beautiful mountains for beautiful beach. you know, life is hard.
Yeah. No, I've been in Atlanta since 92. And so I went through the Olympics and went through the internet crash and then uh
Mm,
those early years are good. Then the '08 housing bubble burst and then
yeah,
kind of cruised through and then and now, the roller coaster that we've all been on over the past 4 to 5 years, and
crazy.
it
Mm.
oh yeah, no, but listen, we're both still standing and that's a good thing. I started my company in 2001, so we're about, doing the whole
That's
gig.
fantastic. Doing what we love, right? That's the
Yeah,
name of
yeah.
the game.
I
Yeah.
always tell them like, look, I'm still living. I got less hair. It's a little gray, but then I got, my beard's white. I
Yeah,
know.
I got grade two, I'm afraid. So yeah, I'm there with you. Yeah.
So tell us your story. Where did you grow up? Where, tell us your story.
Oh man, okay. I grew up all over the place. So my family, I had the privilege of growing up all over the world and really spent kind of my formative years between California, Colorado, and Europe, actually. Boulder is where I spent kind of my teen years and college years, Boulder, Colorado, and then my beautiful wife and I moved to San Diego in 2000 for Solitude, now part of the Kingspan family of products, and so we've been here ever since. We still consider Boulder home, of course, but San Diego as well. So yeah, and
I,
I
I,
just
I was gonna say I went to DU, and when I was out there in the '80s, we used to go to Boulder for the mall crawl,
yes.
and during Halloween, and it was a blast. And then I was an SAE fraternity guy, so I would crash up there, so I don't have to drive back to Denver. But Boulder was an
So
awesome
are you a
place.
skier as a
Oh yeah, my
result?
parents had a place in Vale forever, and
Okay.
learned to
All right.
ski in Buttermilk way back
Yep. Yep.
when.
Probably bumped into you on the slopes then, by
Yeah,
all
my
means. Yeah.
yeah, my
So,
favorite mountain.
my father-in-law, Gunnar Jansen, was a member of the DU Ski Hall of Fame.
Oh
So,
wow.
skier was yeah, my gosh, an amazing guy. But so DU is near and dear to our hearts as well. My wife and I are CU graduates, and then my son actually is a CSU, will be a CSU graduate. So
Oh,
he's
Fort
working at
Collins, yeah.
Fort Collins. Yeah. So Colorado is part of it's just in the blood. So
Oh no. Hey, listen, when I grew up after I could got out of diapers and I could walk, my parents put me on skates and skis. And then
that's great.
we my uncle went out to Vail in like the mid '60s before the Eisenhower Tunnel and all that was
Yep.
built
Yep.
and
Absolutely. Yep.
he was a contractor and built a lot of stuff out there. And we had a house for 30 years. It was in Westvale on the mountainside. And but I skied every mountain. My favorite place, well, I liked everything, but there's a run on the Aspen Highlands at the end of the day. It's called Thunderbowl, I think, or Thunderball. Anyway, it's just a cruiser. You come down into the parking
Yes.
lot. Aspen
Yep.
Highlands is
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
sandwiched between Buttermilk and Ajax, and but. No, I skied every mountain, skied the glacier, had to do it, with the guys, and have fond memories. I've got some awesome tape of me blowing through the bumps way back when. I don't know if I could do it now with both my ACLs replaced, but I could still, I can still hang. And but I was a bomber. At DU, everybody in the winter, you took classes Tuesday and Thursday because you wanted to be able to ski
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And back
Right.
then, for all you people, for everybody that doesn't realize, there was a thing called the Ski Americard. And I used to be able to go up during the week and I could ski for $1 at Loveland Pass, Arapahoe Basin, Mary Jane, Winter Park. I maybe Keystone was in there too. I don't know, but it was,
Yep. 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 All of them. They're all great. They're all fantastic.
oh yeah. So
So I get it. Now,
I
David, I'm looking at your backdrop. So I see lacrosse sticks on the wall.
yeah, I was a hockey lacrosse player at DU. So
All right. So lacrosse as well. Excellent. Yeah, my
yeah,
son
yeah.
is lacrosse as well. So he's a midi, and
Is he
it's
the one that's up at that's going to CSU or the other one?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. CSU they got their team and they had an exhibition a couple years back, and I
Great
think
team.
yeah.
just an
Absolutely.
amazing family of athletes as well. So yeah, our son absolutely loves it.
When I was out there, there were no leagues back in the day in the 80s. So
Nope.
we used to play all the Colorado teams, Colorado College, Air Force,
Yep.
CU, Northern Colorado, Fort Collins, and there were a couple club teams that would come in, and then we would go either go to California or we go down to Florida on the bus, drive there, and
Hmm.
spend about 10 days at one of the universities. They put us up, and so it was cool when DU won the national championship in 15. We went out for alumni weekend. I took my son with me. He was 15 at the time,
Okay.
and went to the hockey game. I think they were playing Michigan State. They swept them that weekend, piles on the ice. And but I hadn't seen my lacrosse coach for, well, 1984. Anyway, I'm walking up and I hear, "Is that David Corson?" And I turn around like, "Coach Strasburger." He's like, "I thought you would have
That's
been in
amazing.
jail by now." I said, "I know. Crazy, huh?" And my son was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, dude, we drank beers with the coach way back when. That's the way it
Oh, yeah,
was, man. It wasn't the way it was.
absolutely.
But I hadn't seen him in forever. He looked the same, just older. And but it was great seeing the team get their national championship rings. And Coach Tierney
Incredible.
made
Hmm.
he made an excellent point because he said, "Look, there's people out there there were about 300 people at that dinner." And he said, "Look, there's people out there that, without their sacrifice, you wouldn't have these rings to wear." And it was really cool how he did it. And but seeing him when we flew up, we went up 3 years in a row. The first year they lost to Syracuse in the finals in 13, 14 they lost to Duke, and then in 15 they had an unbelievable team. And I was like, I'm a jinx. I can't go. So they were playing when Mile High Stadium was still there. They were playing Ohio State in Mile High, and they won. And they were down. I had a client dinner that night, and I was driving down. I'm telling my wife to text me, and she goes, "Oh, it's 7-0." I'm like, "Ugh, I'm going to this dinner." And by the time I got down there, it was halftime. She texts me, goes, "Oh, it's 8-7, DU." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So they won the game, and
Wow.
my parents called me up to, "Hey, look, D's got a really good team. We're gonna fly you up to I think it was in Philly." And we went and they played Notre Dame and they went in overtime and we beat them and then they beat Maryland in the finals. But it was awesome. It was and then going out and playing in the tournament and seeing everybody and watching the rings, it was great. So not enough with lacrosse, but I'm glad.
Amazing. What
Yeah,
fun.
no, I still play on the old guys league, at
Good for
62.
you.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. There's about 250 guys, and it's it
So
gets.
what position, David?
I play everything. I'm a
Okay.
midi, but
Okay.
I'll play goal. I play D. I manage the team, so
All right.
whoever
I
doesn't
appreciate
show,
it.
like I'll go in the goal if I have to. Not one of my things to get pelted with balls that are really hard about 100 miles an hour.
No, no, that's no fun. Those are hard balls too.
But
So,
but here's the thing with the old guys league, it gets
okay.
very chippy out there. But
Sure.
afterwards, you go in the parking lot and they smoke some stogies and drink some beers and we all have to go to work in the morning after a Sunday. But it's really cool because there's people that played in college, just a couple pro guys are out there, and then there's some guys that are novices. So, but you still have to keep your head up, man, because there's some big boys out there, and they don't care if they go in the sin bin, for a couple of minutes.
Mm.
So. Well, uh let's
Yeah.
talk about your company. So,
Okay.
uh you guys do light and air.
Yep, yep. So I'm Vice President Innovation and New Market Development or Business Development for Kingspan Light and Air in North America. So Kingspan is a multinational conglomerate of architectural products, a lot of different divisions. So basically, I kind of my description is if you're an architect and you have a product you want to put into a building to make it more energy efficient, more than likely, Kingspan makes a product for that need. And so my focus is the application of light specifically. That's my specialty to make buildings happier, healthier, or make occupants happier, healthier, buildings more energy efficient, improve, reduce the carbon footprint of the built environment, all through the use of daylight.
What about
Yeah.
the air side of things?
Air side we do as well. So we focus so on the air side, we're all about natural ventilation. So natural ventilation, smoke ventilation, and extraction for life safety and health as well. Yeah, absolutely. So just thinking about fenestration and how we improve the built environment through either improved air quality and of course improvement of light quality in the space.
I've seen Kingspan over the years, so you've acquired some companies, and
Mm.
it's just like any industry. There's been a lot of mergers over the last 5 to 10 years,
Amazing company. Mm.
and
Yes.
now it's amazing. Where I just used to think of you as a lighting company, or
Right.
architect building products,
Right,
and
right, right.
now it's kind of just dwarfed out of there, where you're almost
Flooring, data
one-stop shop.
systems, insulation, you name it. We've got it. Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It's a really dynamic environment because first of all, I've got colleagues on every continent, and which is really cool and makes business meetings kind of a challenge trying to find a time that works for everybody. But that it's just fun working with this incredible brain trust and knowledge base that exists around the world. So yeah, it makes the day fun. Every day is different, right?
So talk about like the last 4 or 5 years. I mean,
Sure.
everything went kaput in March. Now, 5 years later, we're out of the tunnel. Still some speed bumps
Yeah.
and potholes and so
So
forth.
we've been very fortunate. The company has weathered that incredibly well. A lot of things, I mean, certainly we we touch so many different markets, so many different verticals in architecture and design that the company continues to just do phenomenally well, which is fun. And then during COVID, certainly there was opportunity to bring a lot of new brands into the fold. So kind of
Hmm.
grow the company through adding new products and pinnacle products in specific categories, obviously, that architects know and love and trust. And just putting together an incredible portfolio of architectural solutions that allows an architect to do incredibly beautiful, meaningful, and energy efficient buildings. So it's fun. And then, of course, daylight. I think, David, you were just, you touched on a couple of things as you were doing your introduction. You stated that you go out, you get outside in the afternoon, you go for your walk, right? Why is it that you do that? I'm just kind of curious. What's your motivation?
Well, I'll tell you. Listen, all through when my son was growing up. He's 25, so I'm giving my
Okay.
age away. I know I'm only 26,
Yeah,
but
my son's 20, so I'm right there with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but when he was growing up, I didn't push him into anything, and he, I coached him pretty much through lacrosse, hockey. We did taekwondo together. I got my black belt, and
Yeah.
and so last year, I told my wife I gave, I'm going to go out and start running. Just wanted to get back, out on the gig, and the first month I was just running, and then I was up at the pickleball courts, kind of just catching my breath. And I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I'll just do a little video." So I did a positive thought of the day. So I did about 11 months of those all year long. I
Yeah.
ran over just under 2,100 miles last year.
Mm.
I did about 5 to 7, give or take, depending on what route that I took. But every day, didn't miss anything. And this year I do my word of the day, and I'm kind of addicted to it because I can look back at my videos, and it's almost like a history of myself over the year. And I said to myself, I told my wife, look, I'm going to put all those things. I'm going to make them into an ebook. I'm going to put them on, as far as the, when I pass, I'll be in my urn, and they can see what Grandpa David was doing in 2024, and what I was all about. But now I said, oh, I got to change it up, man, because I still like doing it, and
Yeah.
it's just a good way to get the stress off from the day. And during the winter, you're layered up. During the summer, it's really hot down here. And
Yeah. I think the key thing, David, is that it makes you feel better, right?
oh
So
yeah,
not you feel good because you're getting the exercise, but the reason why I asked the question is spending that time outside for those of us who live our lives. So we're indoors like 90% of our lives,
oh
right?
yeah.
So what do we do to make ourselves happier and healthier? Getting out is really key for those who work in an electrically lit environment. So kind of as a segue, the reason why I'm asking is I'm a walker. So I walk like you. I walk 18 plus miles a day. I commute by walking. And so my buddies call me the urban Sasquatch. So I get these periodic texts of a photo of me caught like mid-stride crossing the street or running up out of traffic or whatever, and that's what I do. But
In the rain too?
pardon?
In the rain too?
In the rain, 365 days a year. So I actually I go through a pair of tennis shoes about every 2 months. So I walk between 6,500 and 7,000 miles a year.
Wow.
And I started that because of COVID. So when California went into lockdown and we closed our California campus to non-essential workers, so people who weren't
Hmm.
directly involved in material or product production, the rest of us worked from home. And as we know, in today's digital environment, work can consume us 24 hours a day. So how do you unplug? And so my way of unplugging at the end of the business day was to take the dog for a walk. And then so it started with we've got a hiking trail, or a really nice trail system out the back of our house. So we're fortunate in that way. But it started with 2 miles. And then every month I added another mile to the point where pretty soon I was up to walking 8 hours a day, literally. If I wasn't at work or eating, much to my wife's consternation, I was out walking, and it is so different. So today I enjoy walking to and from work. So I leave the house in the dark. By the time I get to the office, sunrise is occurring about the time I arrive at the office, and it's just this glorious experience, right?
That's what,
It's
four and a
glorious.
half miles? How long is that distance? What's your distance one way?
So I walk. So one way is 3 miles,
Yeah.
easy
Hmm.
walk, right? So that's nice. But so the sunrise is occurring, and I'm seeing these beautiful changing colors of the sky and the birds flying overhead and everything. What's really interesting, David, is that exposure to light, specifically daylight, is what makes you and me happier and healthier
Totally.
biologically. And it's physiological. It's a physiological response to the changing dynamic nature of daylight. So what I do then here at Kingspan is I help develop, or I should say, I help implement new technologies, new intellectual property in new products that allow us to harvest the biologically and physiologically meaningful input of daylight to make buildings not only more energy efficient, so we turn off electric lights during the day, but more importantly, buildings that are healthier for the building occupants and which actually allow us to function in a more meaningful way. And so that is what I've spent my career doing. That is my specialty. I like to joke with people that I'm actually a doctor of light. So I do have my PhD in building energy and illumination. But in that process, I managed to pull in a lot of different disciplines that not only encompass engineering, energy efficiency, building design and architecture, but also neurochemistry, chronobiology, and organic chemistry. So really, how can we start to harness or affect, change the built environment to make the built environment as meaningful for the occupants as possible? That's what we do. That's what I do.
Yeah. No,
And
hey, listen,
it's fun.
I, I get it. My wife sometimes she's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh man, I had probably another mile or two, and I was just kind of getting into the groove, you know." And I'll tell you, I both my ACLs replaced, so going downhill, my knees don't like it. Flat,
Yeah.
I have a nice pace, so I jog it. I go up the hill, downhill, I walk it, just
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
but
No, I don't run. I have to say, I'm not a runner. If I started to run, I think parts would start to fall off.
yeah.
So, but you can get me walking, and I can walk a fast pace forever.
Oh yeah.
So that makes me happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I know my body's limit, so certain things I do the power walk. Other
Yeah.
ones I'm in a nice pace and a nice jog, and it's been great. I ran track and hurdles and prep school, and I was always a runner. I ran cross country, and it's always a good thing. But getting vitamin D, you got to have it. I mean, you can
You
take
gotta
it,
have it.
but it's nothing like getting it naturally.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, no. So what's kind of interesting, David. So when we talk about making buildings healthier for the occupants, so whether it's so we were talking about, the fact that with COVID, people started working from home. We learned as businessmen that shoot, people are really productive from home. They like it. They love it. Well, why is that? Why are we having a hard time encouraging people to come back to the office place? And I think a lot of it is because when we think about it, a home has lots of windows. It has a lot of daylight and light. Homes are intrinsically day lit. Most office buildings are not. And subconsciously, we realize that we behave differently in a daylit environment versus an electrically lit environment. So when we now as business owners, if we're trying to get our workforce back, we want to give them the environment that makes them as happy and as productive and as collaborative as possible. As it turns out, applying daylight is probably the most important thing you can do to make that happen. And so also, a lot of us think, oh, the building is built. There's nothing I can do. I can't add daylight to make the building better, more efficient, or reduce the carbon footprint. When in fact, that's actually a fallacy. What we do know is that if we look, current trend, we look to the future, the 2050 challenge, and trying to establish a carbon neutral society. Today, 80% of the buildings that will exist in 2050 already exist.
mhm.
So in order to meet that challenge, we have to do adaptive reuse. And so the nice thing is that as you said, looking around today's urban environments, we have buildings that are largely unoccupied. So what can we do to change their purpose, to repurpose them, make them functional parts of the urban streetscape today? And we can do that by starting to change the skin of the building, change how we're actually now providing really beautiful curated views to the beautiful aspects of the neighborhood, but still providing the veiled protection and view into the building for the occupants so they don't feel like they're on display all the time. But we're also doing that in a way to admit daylight in a very sensitive way to actually light the space. Because today, the beauty is that with this amazing portfolio of fenestration, so window products, doors and window products, but things that allow us to admit light in a meaningful way into a building, we can almost fully displace the need for electric lights throughout the day in almost any building type.
Hmm.
And we can do that with existing buildings as well. So there's great case studies where buildings that have been derelict for years are repurposed by changing the building skin to make them places where people want to be, whether it's an old, unused shopping mall, the old dinosaurs, right, that now become beautiful, perhaps university campuses. You have tons of space. Let's make them these beautiful environments for learning. We do that when we start to apply new daylight technologies to make that happen. We can take old big box retail environments, we can repurpose them by adding optical daylighting, so lighting that can actually now be added to the building without changing the structure of the building in any way. But we can now start to place dynamic daylight into the building to illuminate interior classrooms of what would be normally a windowless environment, but we can do so in a way that stimulates our chronobiology and our psychology, that makes it feel like we're in a naturally lit environment, because we are all the time. So
I remember early in my publishing days that when the light pipe came into existence and they were piping in, daylighting through a
yep,
tube and,
yep.
get it. And all big boxes were, all sorts of people were
Solitude.
using it. And it
Hey,
was,
that's why I'm here in California. So Solitude is a pinnacle brand of Kingspan Light and Air.
yeah,
So
yeah.
invented the optical daylighting system. Yeah, absolutely.
Like me, I just like going out. I get to, clear my mind. I get to get a little workout, and I told my wife, as long as I can get up and down the lacrosse field, I don't care how, my scoring days are over. I've scored plenty of goals. I just want to, X amount of shifts, and I'm good. If I have to go in the goal, that's okay. But but until I can get down there, when I can't, put me in the wheelchair, and I'll do that too. And
Yeah.
but yeah, no, we're acting as the contractor. We're building our empty nester house up on the lake.
Wow,
So we
great.
made sure that the house had a ton of daylighting. And in my
Yes.
office, uh, I'm gonna make it into like a little podcasting studio. But I have my wife's gonna. I'm like, no, 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 no. I want that window like
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. It
And
makes all the difference.
and I
Yep.
was like, I'm going to get light from here. And then when it comes over the house, I'm going to get it here. I'll have it all
Yep.
day. The first thing that I do in the morning when I get up early, I come
Yes.
into my office at this house where I'm at. I open up. I know if it's raining or not. And it's still dark. It's early when I get up. But first
Yep.
thing I do is open up the shade and lift it up. I don't care if
Mm.
the sun's not up or not. It's the first thing I do. And then at night, I'll
So
pull it down.
important. That's so important because that early morning. When we think about daylight, so electric lighting traditionally is static, right? So if we're in an interior office space, in a conference room, in the core of a building, light levels don't change. The spectral content, so the color of the light doesn't change. Our brains turn off. So literally as visual beings. So when we think about the visual process, about 80% of our brains, whether it's through cognitive function or memory. Memory plays a big role in how we perceive the world around us through vision. Those two things account for about 80% of the brain's function. So, as this big energy consumer of our bodies, what happens is that in a static environment where things aren't changing, after about 5 minutes, our brains start to shut off. Well, because there's nothing to keep them awake, to keep them engaged. Well, if we put someone in a dynamic environment with daylight, so two important aspects of daylight that are part of its dynamic nature is that we know that light levels rise and fall with daylight. They can rise and fall very subtly, and that subtle change is something that we doesn't necessarily call our attention to it, but our brains are aware that something is changing and keeps them awake and engaged. Spectral content is really important because the daylight, while daylight is always the perfect color rendition light source, we always have white light with daylight, but we know that the bias of whether it's warm in feel or cool in feel changes over the course of the day with time of day as well as sky condition. And our bodies and our brains are actually designed to take that very subtle visual cue, and it gives us very important perception of what's happening outside. So with your new house, with these beautiful windows, as you said, is it sunrise? Is it sunset? Is it solar noon? Is it partly cloudy? Is it an overcast day? That information is all coming from the quality and the characteristics of the daylight that's coming into the space. So that is really important from a psychological standpoint. From a physiological standpoint, it is the exposure of dark to light to dark, but more importantly, during the periods of light, what is the time dependent exposure to the spectral content of that white light? That determines the physiological response that our bodies have. So our bodies do change function over the 24-hour clock, right? Daylight is the timekeeper that starts to regulate how and when our bodies do certain functions. So we are more productive. We are, to your point, so playing lacrosse out, during probably mid-morning, midday is when you're the most accurate with your shots, to get a goal. It's because physiologically, that exposure to the wavelengths of light that drives our physical capabilities. This is all being set by your exposure to that light.
I,
So,
Yeah, I listen. I get it. D went out. They just swept. They beat Marist on Friday, and they beat Quinnipiac yesterday. But the weekend
Mhm.
before, they had to go out to Cornell. Gets
Yep.
cold out there. It snows upstate New York. It's just like Denver.
Yes.
It's
Yep. Yep.
cold.
Absolutely.
They got off the plane. It was nice out, but they left they must have not liked the daylight there or whatever because they stunk up the joint. They left their game on the bus, and they had a 15-5. They got clobbered, and
Oh,
the Big Red Machine put it. And we beat them last year, I think 14-13, and so I know there was some revenge factor there, but. Uh, in any event, but it's like coming into Colorado and skiing, and you're not used to the air, you know, and
sure.
oxygen. It's the same kind of thing, getting that
Mhm.
hydration of oxygen headache and stuff. So,
Yep.
um,
Like this space, just an example. So like this space behind me. So when we think about daylight, we think of windows. Windows are so important for that visual connection to the outside. But when we actually talk about daylighting, which is the artful application of the light source, the natural daylight resource, um, this space is actually Waukesha Technical College in Wisconsin. And so this is a fully daylit space. Those cubes behind me are actually all tubular daylighting
daylighting.
devices
Hmm.
with this beautiful sculptural luminescent cube that adds this dimensional characteristic to the space. But this is all daylight. There's no electric light on in the space whatsoever, which
That's
is
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So every building can look like this. Why doesn't it? That's the big question, right? We just need to work as designers and building owners to make it happen.
So if someone was out there on commercial construction coffee talk and maybe they had an older building that they were going to renovate or they were going to do a new build and they were going to, think about daylighting or air or insulation or, all the different things that you offer, how would someone reach out to you to, answer some questions?
Certainly the first thing, obviously, reach out to Kingspan. So Kingspan Light N.A. So whether we go, so kingspan.com would allow you to or allow them to find the homepage from where they can find any product that they're looking for, right? So if they're looking for daylight, they can click on the daylighting or lighting solutions, and they would start to find all the different product typologies. So whether it's a translucent building skin, roofing skin, architectural skylight, unit skylight, or solar tube, they would be able to find those products. And then once they kind of start to make contact, if they're talking about light and air, and they have a project they want to learn more about what we do, then our architectural solutions team, which is a team of design professionals around the nation who are designed to be the lighting consultant. Right? They're there to help the building owner or the architect make informed decisions. They're not there to sell a widget. They're there to make sure that the objectives of the building design are met, and then they will help guide the education process so that the architect or building owner or contractor can choose the best product for their given best product or products portfolio, right? A solution to get the best solution that given their project constraints.
So there you
Or
go. I'll put that in the description. I'll also put that in on the video when I edit this. But
great.
kingspan.com, it's got all your
Thanks, Dave.
answers on there, not just
We
lights. I got all sorts of stuff. They're
We're
one of
here to
my
help.
advertisers. Depending on what I have going on in the magazine, I'll call Mark up and say, "Hey, Mark." Well, I'll send him an
There
email.
you go. Mark can answer any question. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got you.
Hey, listen, if anyone wants to reach me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. Listen, it's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, just like Neal's, publicist, they sent me a note. I'm like, oh, it's one of my advertisers. Haven't had look back, haven't had him in on the podcast. They went back and forth. We booked him. Boom, here he is. So if you don't send me something, I can't post it. Now listen, very tough to get in the magazine, but we got a bunch of different platforms. I got two nice ladies up in Chicago. They post for me all day, and they make sure it's Google index and it's SEO. That's your search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you, and make sure that you get your word out there. So that's awesome. And the daylighting thing behind you is amazing. I thought it was, but that's why I kind of went in that direction. I knew it was, but
Great.
I was about 98% sure if I had to, I'll being honest. But daylighting's an amazing thing. You don't have to pay for it. You
You
know,
don't have to pay for it.
you don't
So
have to pay for it.
if
You just
we're
got to
trying to
pay
create
to
a
get that
building
pipe
that
in.
is energy efficient, turning off the biggest energy consumer of the building, which is going to be the electric lighting, is going to be key. If we're talking about, trying to create a building that has minimal carbon footprint, now we start to use daylight to turn off the electric lights, and we add photovoltaics to the roof. So we optimize the roof for access to daylight and photovoltaics, and we wind up with a building such as our campus here in California. I mean, we are energy positive, meaning we generate more electricity per year than we actually consume to actually operate and make solar tube products on this campus. And then also we are nearly carbon neutral as well from a facility standpoint. So, that's the name of the game today.
So if I
Yeah.
come out there, I can get a tour of the
Come on
campus.
out. Yeah, by all means, show you around.
Hey,
Well,
we
get you
you
out on the
got
beach.
you got a date, and hey, like I said, do you throw the lacrosse ball with your son, or did you?
I don't have the talent for it. No, no. But
Well, I figured I'd ask.
yeah, yeah,
I'd say, hey, I'll bring my stick out. We'll do some wall ball. And you know. So, as we finish up here,
yeah.
if there was one positive thought or phrase that you'd like to leave with our listeners, what would it be as we finish up the first quarter Q1 with this month, and then go into the remainder of the year?
Well, I think the most important thought is think about what makes you feel better. What makes a space meaningful to you? And I think when people think about that, they're going to start to realize that, if they really want to make their lives better, be healthier, uh, kind of the new trends in architecture that embrace the natural aspects of light and daylight. It's going to be really key. And um, it just goes a long way to improving people's lives and happiness. So think
There
daily.
you go. So listen, once again, kingspan.com. If you got any lighting or any of those building products, go and
We're
look.
here to help.
Surf the site. They're here for you. Neil's there, Mark. They can all help you. Um, if As we finish up, a couple things. Number one, if you're on a construction site, we want you to be safe. We want you to be able to get home, have dinner, partner, spouse, husband, wife, kids, pets, whatever. Get some REM sleep, get up and do it the following day. Number two, you got to stay hydrated. Uh, you got to drink water and keep your body liquefied. That's the athlete in me. If you get dehydrated, that's when you make the bad pass or you get a headache. Same thing on the construction site. Put some electrolytes in your water bottle, drink water all day, stay hydrated. Not only will you have a better day, but you're going to sleep that much better that night and get up and be able to do it the following day. Last but not least, hit the like button. We want you to, we want, the YouTube algorithms to be able to find this and shoot Neil's, episode out there. So we really appreciate that. Just takes one little click. So um, with that, uh, when I get out there, I'd love to see the campus.
Please.
It'd be awesome. And any last thoughts from San Diego as that you'd like to leave, or you can say I'm signing off from San Diego. It's up to you.
I just hope everybody has a great year. Here we are, as you said, already, almost a quarter of the way into 2025. Let's make the most of it. Let's make 2025 a great year.
Yeah, I think it's the greatest time to be alive because there's so much going on. I'm not even talking about, I'm just talking in general. Every day there's never a dull moment. I catch up at the end of the day. I'll look at my phone and I'm like, I'll turn them off. Did you see that? Wow, and I'm busy during the day, but I want to know what the heck's going on, around the world. And it's an amazing time. It's just there's so much going on, and I can't wait to get up the next day to see what the heck's going to happen. Never a
Yep,
dull moment.
that
So,
is true.
so
Yeah.
with that, Neil, pleasure
Yes.
meeting you. Say goodbye
All
from
right.
San
Thank you, sir.
Diego.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate you having me on today. Hopefully, your viewers have gleaned something new and different today.
Now, I'll tell you, the
So,
best thing you said was about lighting, and it's good for you because I
yeah,
totally agree with that. I mean, people need to get, if you're in your office all day just looking, you got to get outside. I mean, just that little
yeah,
vitamin D for a half hour or whatever, it'll help you. It's just amazing and doing it, walking in the rain or running in the rain. I do it. I don't miss a day, man. It's like,
I agree.
you just get addicted to your body's like, go out there. I don't care. Layer up.
Yep.
And
Yep. Absolutely, sir.
and your feet
Great.
tell you when you need some new sneakers too. That's for sure.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, just below the Buford Dam on Lake Lanier. Oh, it's about 30 miles north of downtown Atlanta. And everybody, listen, have a great rest of the week and have a great month. And you got Cinco de Mayo, you got March Madness, oh my God, the Ice Hockey League is playing, and there's everything going on. So you got plenty to enjoy yourself. And then before you know it, man, summer's going to be here because spring, I think, is just going to blow by. So with that said, uh, we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Neil, pleasure. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.
Have a great
Cheers.
day.
All right, say bye bye.